I have a message from the Village Jedi.
Max Rebo, hit it! Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to the Village Jedi podcast. My name is Marina, and I am so happy to have you here. If you are new this week, congratulations, because this is also the first week that we're on YouTube. So I'm excited to get that figured out. For the last couple weeks, the podcast has just been audio only, which is fine if you've got me in your ears while you're doing your day-to-day routine. No problem. I'm still happy to have you here. But if you want to see my face, I'm on YouTube now, so that's exciting. And I've actually never done anything like this before, so it's got a bit of a learning curve, but I'm hoping y'all will bear with me. Before we get started, though, as is usual, I like to talk a little bit about how you can join in the discussion, because if you're here, you're probably a Star Wars fan, or you want to become a Star Wars fan, in which case, hello there. So to join the discussion, I have a Substack. My Substack handle is at the Village Jedi, or at Mark Hyber, all one word, over on there. And if you know me, I kind of have a hot and cold relationship when it comes to social media. But this past week, to kind of promote the podcast, get more familiar with being on screen instead of just in your ears with audio only, I started a TikTok account and an Instagram. Same handle, at the Village Jedi, so feel free to go over there. But if you want to get a little more involved with the episodes, you maybe have something you want to say or ask or contribute, I also have an email. You can email the show at tvjpod@gmail.com, and I'll read it on air and we can discuss it together. Because really, my whole goal with this is not so much to talk about like heated lore debates, breakdowns of every episode or movie. I just want to have fun and talk about Star Wars and build a community with other people who enjoy doing the same thing. So welcome. I'm happy to have you here. But with all that out of the way, I have a lot to yap about. So let's go ahead and get into what we're talking about today. I thought we could open the archives a little bit about, obviously, the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer dropped recently. Everybody is talking about it, rightly so, because it is so exciting that we're going to have a new Star Wars movie coming out. So rather than doing a breakdown, because like I mentioned, a lot of other really amazing and talented hosts and channels are doing very successful, detailed breakdowns for fans of all journeys. So I kind of just want to talk about my little tidbits and jemmies that I saw in the trailer that maybe got me excited, my initial thoughts, questions, complaints, and obviously what got me pretty hyped for the movie. So this is basically the Village Jedi, my show. I'm going to give you guys my 2 cents, one for Din and one for Grogu, on how I feel about their movie coming up. So here we go. If I'm talking fast, it's just because I'm a little nervous. I've honestly never done this before, so just bear with me. I'm really excited, though. I love talking about Star Wars, so. Okay, here we go. I also have my notes, if you're watching on YouTube. Chicken scratches, just trying to keep up with how fast my brain moves. So first off, I was talking, a little bit to my family about it, kind of what the premise of this movie is, so I thought we could read the overview together. But before we get into that, The Mandalorian and Grogu is coming out Friday, May 22nd, 2026. I didn't get the exact calculation, but that's only a few weeks away, really. This is coming out on a Friday, so 1 week closer. Exciting. Congratulations, guys. We made it. The movie is also written by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, which, if you're not familiar with Dave Filoni, you'll know him when you see him. He wears a cowboy hat everywhere, which is actually kind of iconic. But Jon Favreau, you probably have seen him. He's a pretty big heavy in the Marvel community, with the writing process behind some of those films, particularly Iron Man. He got the ball rolling with that, and look what that turned into. Incredible success. If you're thinking, okay, yeah, that name sounds familiar, you probably have also seen him. He plays Tony Stark's #1 bestie, Happy. So he also, in Star Wars, if you're like, okay, cool, that's Marvel, this is a Star Wars podcast, duh. When it comes to Star Wars, he also voices Pre Vizsla from the Death Watch clan in the Clone Wars show, which Dave Filoni put together. So Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have been working hand in hand a lot for a long time, at least since 2008, which is when the Clone Wars movie came out. We'll get into all that, but basically what I'm trying to say is this movie is by two men who really enjoy Star Wars. They love it from its core. They understand the ins and outs. They have a really good pulse on what the fans want. So it should be a pretty good movie. Jon Favreau, when it comes to this movie, actually he's listed as a director. He's on record as saying that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is supposed to act as like a fourth season of the show, which I didn't know until I started putting together my show notes for this, but I think that's pretty interesting that they had 3 seasons set up for The Mandalorian, which in preparation of that movie, I'm going to rewatch the 3rd season, but that this movie was kind of his way of like green-lighting a 4th season. So pretty exciting to see. We'll pick up with Mando and Grogu and see what they've been up to, because to my recollection, at the end of season 3, they like ended with, that theater like, whoop, that's all, folks. Like, it was kind of like, all right, I guess we're wrapping up. He's retired. So I'm excited to see what's going on, what we're going to see. Okay, we were going to read the overview. So the overview, according to Google, says that the evil empire has fallen, but imperial warlords remain scattered throughout the galaxy. As the fledgling New Republic works to protect everything the rebellion fought for, they enlist the help of legendary Mandalorian bounty hunter Din Djarin and his young apprentice Grogu. I'm in, like, sold. So I'm actually really excited for this movie. If you have any questions about, bounty hunters and things like that, that's what they list in as. There's a lot of bounty hunter arcs in the Clone Wars television show that I would recommend checking out. And leading into that is actually a perfect segue. There is one character from the animated Clone Wars show I've been seeing circulated a lot. Very famous screen cap and clips from the trailer featuring this character. His name is Embo, which if you're not familiar, you'll know him when you see him. Like, he has orange eyes. He's this cool looking samurai inspired alien. He has a really cool hat. He's got a dog. So, everything a person could want as a cool bounty hunter. But he also worked for the Hutt clans before, which would make perfect sense because the Hutts are also in this trailer. Which, if you don't remember, the Hutts, that's okay. They're the giant slug people. Princess Leia killed Jabba the Hutt. He was the head of the Hutt Syndicate. So, very, very famous clan based out of Tatooine. But besides seeing him, he isn't the only animated character that's going to be making a live action debut. We also saw Rada the Hutt. He is Jabba's son, so a direct descendant. And we first meet Jabba's son in the animated 2008 Clone Wars movie, which we mentioned. Clone Wars was creatively controlled by Dave Filoni. Jon Favreau had a hand in some of it. So again, these guys, they know what they're working with. They know what the fans want. That show had a tremendous success, great response from the fans. A lot of Star Wars fans love Clone Wars and praise it for the creative directions, new species, things like that. So it makes sense to me why they would make a movie that then features characters and ideas from such a successful show. But back to Rada the Hutt, I'm excited to see him more, learn a little bit more, because when you first see him, he's an infant. And if you haven't watched the 2008 Clone Wars animated film, I would recommend it. It is a prequel to the Clone Wars television show. Basically, the premise is Anakin gets a Padawan, Ahsoka, who later goes on to become a very famous staple, pillar of the Star Wars universe. But when you first meet her, she's kind of annoying. You're like, who is this girl? Ashley Eckstein does an amazing job, but you're still like, I don't really know. But anyways, you get to see their relationship. They get to know each other. And one of their first real missions together is Jabba's son has been kidnapped, and he's a baby. So it's kind of a time crunch. Like, we've got to find this kid. He's alone. He's cold. Infant. We've got to find him. So that's kind of one of the main arcs of that movie is Anakin and Ahsoka going on an adventure to find him and bring him safely back to Jabba. Something I don't know how many listeners are going to, what kind of chords this is going to strike with y'all. But if you are familiar with any of Frank Herbert's work, you've read Dune or you've seen Dune Part 2, they give Rada the Hutt this kind of gladiator scene in the trailer where he just it just gave me a lot of Fade Rotha vibes. Like, if you guys can tell where I'm going with this. Fade Rotha, similar to Rada the Hutt. I got to make sure I get this straight. So Fade Rotha, in Frank Herbert's novel Dune, is the son of a very, very powerful clan. He's the son of the Baron Harkonnen, who is pretty much like the big bad of the universe. And Fade is his son. He's a gladiator. He's a very strong warrior. He's respected among the people. And Rada kind of gave that energy to me. When I was watching in the trailer, I was like, oh, hey, yo, that's kind of cool. Because Rada's in the same position. Like, he's the heir of this very powerful empire. It's just, I don't know. So that was kind of exciting to me. I was like, oh, I'd never really put that together. So the trailer, did that for me. They've got him in this gladiator arena. I'm just excited to get to know that part of his story a little more, because we've just seen him as an infant. So now he's grown up, and I just kind of want to see if he's running the place now. I don't know. So we'll all learn together. So those are just kind of a couple things when it comes to characters we've seen that we're going to see more of, or finally see them live action. I'll talk about Zeb a little bit more later, but for now I just wanted to touch on those two. But I wanted to talk also about why we're ready for this movie, why I'm so excited for this movie, and why the majority of fans, when you speak to them, are excited for this movie. And the number one reason is because the last time that we got a Star Wars film was December 20th, 2019, The Rise of Skywalker. That was the last time you could purchase a ticket and go to the movie theater and see something new from Star Wars. So we're all excited for this. We get to be back in the movie theater. Star Wars is back on the big screen where it belongs. And we all get to learn new things together. Because you think about what a new movie means. It's new characters, new faces, new costumes, new quotable lines, new memes, new music. It's just going to be really exciting. So that's one of the reasons I'm excited for the movie, is it's just new. And we haven't had this since 2019. It's also the last movie before Dave Filoni takes over Lucasfilm. So kind of the success of this movie and the direction that they're going with this film is most likely going to heavily influence what he does with continuing Star Wars films, if that makes sense. So I'm just excited for that. What is this movie going to mean for future Star Wars movies, especially with Dave Filoni at the helm? So those were a couple things I wrote down about why I'm excited for this movie. It doesn't really take a rocket scientist to figure out why Star Wars fans are excited for a new Star Wars movie. Duh. I guess I did write down more Grogu. I am excited for him. You guys, he is so cute. His little noises, they did a phenomenal job with the puppet animatronics. So I'm just excited to get more of that little guy. We all love him. He's going to have his little Mandalorian, little chainmail armor. I'm just super excited to see more of him. And then also, I wrote down, I forgot, seeing AT-ATs again on the big screen. If I worked for the Empire, I would want to drive one of those. I think it would be so fun. One of those or a Star Destroyer, definitely. So seeing those on screen is going to be super exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. But now that I've exhausted a lot of breath on how excited I am for this new movie and how excited I'm sure you guys are for this movie, I thought in true Star Wars fan nature, I could go over a couple of the things that I have in the back of my mind, maybe some questions, some concerns. Maybe you share them as well. If so, feel free to comment below. maybe the things that you're excited for, but also some of the things you're like, I don't really know about that. Like, that's what I'm about to do. I don't really know about these kinds of things. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't agree. I get it, okay? I get it. So let's just get into this. Number one, I'm sorry, but the number one thing that I do, kind of feel a little apprehensive about with this movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, is the title. And my reasoning for that, I get it. Before we get into it, I get it. I understand the financial and the marketing reason why it has to be called The Mandalorian and Grogu. We don't need to get into it. It's pretty self-explanatory. But basically, if you are kind of a casual fan, you've seen The Mandalorian, maybe you watched it when the first season came out, we were all stuck at home, and you liked it, you thought Baby Yoda was cute, you bought a couple toys for your kids, sure. But when it comes to naming a Star Wars movie, it has to hit. It has to be tough and timeless. You think about Rogue One, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope. Like, there are some cinematic titles when you think about Star Wars movies that just withstand the test of time. And The Mandalorian and Grogu just does not hit for me. I'm sorry. I hate to be the hater, but it's just, I don't know. That's where I stand with it. So if you guys feel like being nice, I came up with 3 potential alternative names. Let me know what you guys think, or if you could come up with a different potential name, what you would choose for it. So just in the few days I've had to brainstorm, and based on the overview that we read together, I came up with The Imperial Ashes, New Republic Rising, or simply This Is the Way. So those are my top 3. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a Thunderbolt situation where they rip the tape and it's a brand new title, The New Avengers. So we're stuck with The Mandalorian Grogu, and that's fine. I'm sure it'll grow on me. But like I said, The Force Awakens, like, there's just so many good titles, bro, where it's like, there just could have been so much potential here. I get it. Marketing, I get it. Disney's got to make money as per usual, but like, I don't know. I was just kind of hoping for something a little more, I don't know. I feel like you guys know what I'm trying to say. So my second concern that I wrote, and maybe this is going to have, maybe this will resonate with people, maybe not. I don't know. I'm just going to throw this out there because this is my show. These are my thoughts. So here we go. I'm a little concerned. In the trailer, it shows Din's helmet being taken off, and I really do not know how I feel about that. Especially because the emotional weight of the entirety of season 3, where Din goes on this personal quest to become the man he was in episode 1. He's a devoted Mandalorian. He cares about the lore and the traditions and the honor. Like, that is part of his character, is his deep-rooted appreciation for what it means to follow the way. And when I saw in the trailer that they took off his helmet, we see Pedro Pascal in all his glory, I just was like, ugh. Not like, ugh. It was more like, ugh. Like, I don't really know what the choice is there. So that's a big question I have going into the film, is what was the reason? And the reason better be good. It better not just be for shock factor or for, I don't know, the casual fans who didn't watch season 3. Like, I just, that's something I'm trying to trust in Filoni. I'm trying to trust in Favreau, but a part of my brain, the back piece, is like, oh, this better be good. So when I saw that, that's just a concern that I have, that I think I'm just going to have to get over once I finally do watch the movie like everybody else. And they'll explain it, because something I wrote down in my chicken scratches is that the choice better propel the story. Otherwise, season 3 is not as weighty, if that's even a word. But there was just so much character development in that whole season, not only with Din, but with Bo-Katan. We learned more about what it means to be a, foundling. And I don't know. I just was eating that up as were most of us. We were just like, we've got to get more of what it means to be a true Mandalorian from the old days. Like they're practicing ancient ways, and I loved it. And the majority of people loved it. So I'm just a little nervous about that. They took off that helmet, you guys, and I was like, be so for real. We just spent a whole season. Are you telling me we got to go back to the holy waters on Mandalore? Are you telling me we got to spend another few hours of our time undoing what I don't know, maybe I'm blowing this out. I'm sure it's not that deep. Let me calm down. Oh my goodness. Okay. My next concern, not really a concern as much as just like a question, is I don't know where I got it in my mind that this movie was the Mandoverse movie. You know, like the end of Ahsoka, the end of The Mandalorian, the end of Boba Fett, we're all coming together and it's all making sense. And we're going to stop Admiral Thrawn. Like somehow along the way, I thought that that's what this movie was going to be. Of course, you know, once the overview came out, the trailers, I understood where we were. I understood what was happening. But I'm hoping that the end, that's something I'm going to be watching for. Obviously, all Star Wars fans are going to be watching for, but that's something I care about is this movie going to set up for that movie? Because when you read the overview, we're talking about the New Republic is looking for Imperial sympathizers. And who better for his cause, for Admiral Thrawn's cause, than Imperial sympathizers? He's looking for the same guys that the New Republic is, so it's going to be a race for who gets there first. So that's who I'm excited to see next, you know, is Admiral Thrawn. Like, what's going to happen with all of this? And I hope that this movie sets up for that, because Jon Favreau said, as we mentioned, that the purpose of this movie was to kind of set up for a season 4, which implies maybe there's going to be a wrap-up of certain characters. I don't know. I did write down that something I've always loved about these live-action shows is that when a new season drops or a new show drops, they release a trailer. And in the trailer, there are clips of pretty much, you see all the clips from the trailers in the first or second episode. You still have the whole show to go. So I'm a little giddy about that. Like, they have this trend of doing that, right? Where you're like, what are they hiding? You know, like, what is up their sleeves? What's waiting for us when we get in those theaters that we've never seen in the trailers? No one caught. The best fan predictions couldn't, you know, put together. What kind of rug are they going to pull out from under us? You know, like, I'm excited for that because they do it every time with these shows, with these new seasons. So I just know it's going to be good, and I'm really excited for it. A couple little gemmies I wrote down I wanted to share. One of the podcasts I listen to the most that I highly recommend to you guys, they have a great community, is Empire Radio. You can hear them anywhere you stream a podcast. They have a YouTube channel. They go live on Twitch every week. They have a Discord. Like, it's just a really great community. They're the ones that kind of got me into the idea of like, maybe I could start a Star Wars podcast. You know, I could talk about Star Wars for hours and hours. Like, I should try that. So they said on their show when they were debriefing the same trailer that we see Zeb in the trailer, live action. Which, let me do a quick little Google search for any fans who might not know. Just a second here. Okay, so Zeb, his full name, as I thought, is Garazeb Aurelius. Girl, Aurelios. There we go. He is played by Steve Bloom. And I'm terrified, you guys, saying real names on air. Oh, I just hope it's good. Don't come for me. I'm trying my best. I'm just a girl. Yikes. Okay, anyways, he is this big purple alien, and he is in the show Star Wars Rebels. He's a key character from the Ghost crew, but we see him in the trailer. And so something they were mentioning was if he crosses paths with Din and Grogu, he's going to hear about the Force and the Jedi, and he's going to be like, oh, I know the Force, I know the Jedi, and we might get a name drop of Kanan Jarrus. live action name drop of the legend himself. How cool would that be? Like, they said that on their podcast, and I was like, yo, the game has been changed. Like, that would be so crazy. The fact that we see Zeb and Hera anyways is pretty awesome. Hera is in the live action Ahsoka show. She's the green Twi'lek with the Leku. And I don't know, something about that just hits, knowing that we could get a live action name drop. So I'm hoping for that. Like, that would be so cool. Another little gemmy I had was that this movie makes number 12. We currently have, or no, I think 13, because counting the Clone Wars movie, we currently have 12 Star Wars movies. And every Star Wars movie has served a purpose in the moment of time. Like, even the one-shot movies, Rogue One, Solo, the Clone Wars, they're one-shot stories for, like, this is where we are at in the stream of time. Here's a little bit of backstory about these characters you're familiar with, but maybe here's some new characters to enrich the time jump. Because that's something I've always respected about Star Wars, is they leave you with a time jump between the movies. And when you come back, you're like, okay, what did I miss? Where have these characters been? What have they been up to? It's like a family reunion. You're like, all right, like, what's the tea? Tell me. And you're just seated, right? You're learning. And so this movie, I feel like, is so exciting because it fills in a time gap that we haven't gotten before in that way, like as a movie. So this movie, in the stream of time, if you're not familiar, is between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So episode 6 and episode 7. So I'm super excited to be able to do, just to have that gap filled. We'll have a movie. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought of this trailer, what you're excited for. That's just kind of a little bit of what I had, my thoughts here on my show, The Village Jedi. And yeah, let me know. I'm still kind of messing with the YouTube channel. I know I've got a lot to learn, but I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed spending a little bit of time with me this week. And feel free to subscribe, comment below, send us an email at tvjpod@gmail.com. Join the discussion, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Thank you. To support this show, please leave a rating or review wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you for spending some time with me this week, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next Friday. This was The Village Jedi. Until we meet again, old friends, and I mean this in the nerdiest way possible, may the Force be with you.